Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to the Winning Drive, the prime time edition of the Winning Drive. We appreciate you guys joining us. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, pleased to be joined by fellow Lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy CJ Vogel, and our own coach, former high school football coach at Vernon, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coach there as well. Also was on the staff at University of Texas for multiple head football coaches, and you can catch his work these days at shipleyranches.com. Is our own Coach Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Hey, doing good. How you guys doing, man? The sun came up. Our head coach seems to have a good attitude and going to get this thing figured out.
I like it. See, he sounds like a coach. Because as a coach, you gotta be on the positive side no matter what it is. And Texas did get a win. This is the crazy thing. Did y'all ever think y'all would care so much about Sam Houston State? You never get so many Longhorns, CJ, that's going to be invested in watching Sam Houston State and breaking it down and being meticulous in every detail of the offense. See, look at now, y'all invested again. Y'all thought this was going to be a throwaway game. Oh, it's a game I might plan to me and my wife and go do something. I may go hang out with the family. Nope, you're going to be watching Sam Houston State with bated breath.
Yes, very intently.
Yes, that's crazy to think about, but I'm thinking about now it's going to be an intense watch for every Longhorn fan. When at first it was supposed to be just a casual throwaway game that when you was drinking and hanging out with your friends and missed half the game and then had to come back and talk about it. But anyway, we'll get to that matchup. We had the head coach, Steve Sarkisian, addressing the media today in his Monday press conference, so we'll hear from Steve Sarkisian. CJ was there, boots on the ground, so we'll get CJ's thoughts about what he heard. But, this show belongs to you. It's a show of the people, for the people, and by the people. So throw out your questions, comments. We know you got plenty of them. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, so you can interrupt the show at any time and just throw out a super chat. We do expect Stevie Lee at one point to join us here, so we'll get to Stevie as we do every Monday, and we'll also talk about the upcoming opponent for the Longhorns, Sam Houston State, the Bearcats, bringing in the Bear Raid. But CJ, you were there on the 40 acres. What was the tone, number one? What was the mood of the head coach? All right, was he in a joking mood? Was he in a snarky mood? What was the mood of him, and what was the highlight of the press conference Monday today?
Yeah, I thought he was pretty upbeat. Maybe more so than many Texas fans, probably more so than myself as well. I wasn't necessarily expecting an upbeat, very positive Sark, but I think he's looking at it as we're not far off, especially offensively. And he mentioned that, saying, yeah, I think we're pretty close to figuring out this passing game. And I know a lot of folks at home are probably sitting around saying, no, we're not. But according to the head coach, who sees it every day in practice, he's thinking that they're close. And again, I thought it was a very upbeat, very optimistic, very positive Steve Sarkisian. Because Rod, you've watched him, the coach. You've watched these press conferences. We've seen a snarky Sark. We've seen a Sark that gets a little chippy at times, and that wasn't the case today. So I left pleasantly surprised with just kind of the demeanor of the head coach of the University of Texas today. But look, it doesn't mean anything to say that on a Monday, because you still got to go through 3 days of practice. You still got to get on the bus. You got to take care of your walkthroughs, and you got to get on the field and bring what you brought in practice to the practice or to the game field. And right now, that's kind of what Texas has been lacking so far, Rod.
Coach, do you think they're close? And I think he's talking about the passing game specifically, right, CJ? Do you think they're close?
I don't. It's not. It doesn't matter if Sark doesn't get his head around what's going on and get back into his groove. And I mean, it doesn't matter who the receiver is. If the ball's not going to be catchable, then it doesn't matter who it is. And it's just like, CJ and Jeff were talking about earlier today on their podcast after the press conference. It's, you've got an offensive line that is continually making you try to get, the ball in the end zone or get a first down with 1 yard to go, and just over and over and over. It looks like we're a long way away from me. I mean, I know that I know that the UTEP was running a lot of games, doing stuff with their linemen and all that, but it doesn't matter. When it comes time to blow somebody off the ball, you've got to move bodies.
Yeah.
And we were not moving bodies, and I don't know how there's any other way you can put a slant on that. I just don't see all of a sudden why all of a sudden are we going to start blowing people off the ball? Why all of a sudden are we going to start throwing perfect passes? I don't understand that. The great news is we found a back that knows how to get yards after contact and is ready to carry the load for us. I'm looking forward to him as much as anybody this weekend.
Hey, look good.
Yep. And we'll hear from Sark talking about the injuries because he is going to be big because Cedric Baxter is out for that game. No Trey Wisner in the last game. As a matter of fact, let's start there, Matthew. If you don't mind, would you mind getting that cut ready about injuries? Because that's a big part of what we hope is hurting this offense. Because Trey Wisner, add him back to the mix. Cedric Baxter, of course. We'll hear from Sark here in a second talking about Cedric Baxter. DeAndre Moore wasn't available for him. Emmett Mosley hadn't been available for him, and that was a big acquisition. The hope is that add some more of those pieces. They add juice, and the execution gets better, and then this offense starts to find its groove. But here's Sark talking about the injuries for this upcoming game versus Sam Houston State.
Note, obviously, Cedric got hurt first play of the game, hamstring injury, significantly. We don't think it's overly significant, but he'll be out this week just from a precautionary standpoint to hopefully get him ready for SEC play. Obviously, Cole Hudson, Kobe Black went down in game. We'll monitor those guys throughout the week. We'll see they're questionable, and Xavier Filsaime did not play in the game with a shoulder. He'll be questionable this week as well. So just some things to touch on that.
Yeah, there you go. So, Coach, to your point, James Simon, another big opportunity here in this game versus Sam Houston State for him, and the rest of those young running backs as well. Clark thrown into that mix because I wouldn't risk a Trey Wisner in this game. Maybe they do and put him on a pitch count or something, but I wouldn't risk him at all. CJ,
No.
Yeah, that doesn't.
I mean, look, anybody that's close to 100% but isn't, again, you're probably not going to see them. DeAndre Moore, I was surprised at the late scratch from Xavier Filsaime, who Sark mentioned there had a shoulder issue. If these guys can't go 100%, this is, again, a game in which Texas should win, and they should win pretty handedly. And there likely isn't a necessary need to push these guys into a deeper, place for injury. So we'll see. Because they should win, it should be easy, but things have looked very difficult so far this year.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Before we get back to some Sark sound here, some Sark audio, some Sark video, I should say. I'm a radio guy, so I apologize for that. Sugarcane Daddy, not the crop, has a super chat here. He said, if Florida loses to Miami, do things start to spiral over there enough for them to roll over against Texas? That is interesting because I've heard this theory, guys, that Billy Napier is kind of, dead man walking over there, that, that everybody knows he's on the hot seat. And at the end of the season, pretty much, especially because of their schedule, they're going to make a move at head coach. And will the locker room essentially quit on their head coach that early where they'll roll over for Texas? Coach, your thoughts about it. You're a coach. What are your thoughts about? Well, there's pride for the players, I would think. But
yeah, first of all, I don't think you fire a coach like that this early in the season. What is it going to accomplish?
UCLA did it.
Well, UCLA needed to do it. I think they needed to do it after New Mexico State whooped up on them.
Yeah.
Never thought I would say that, but look at those two quarterbacks. Can you imagine playing in front of 30,000 people at UCLA, getting your tails kicked by New Mexico State, who you had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to come whip your butt, and then and now that quarterback is starting in the Tennessee Georgia game, and in front of 100,000 crazy fans, one of the best football games I've seen in a long time.
Going out.
You know, I mean, it was two heavyweights going toe to toe, and so yeah, I don't know. It's a crazy scenario for sure. But I just don't know why you would fire a coach right now. But it could be that by the time we play them, if they still haven't won, well,
Yeah.
I guess I don't think they're going to beat Miami. So they'll be what? That would make them. Are they 0-3 right now?
Yeah, you'd get a. Like I said, I don't know about the situation and about them and the coach and the administration. The public perception is he'd be on the hot seat. Yeah, because Miami is looking like they're a damn good football team. It'll be interesting to see. DJ Lagway has a lot to do with that too. I don't know how right now he's struggling just like Arch Manning is struggling. Actually,
Yeah,
both of those guys preseason Heisman favorites, and both of them are struggling. So that ain't.
they're both throwing passes, Rod, that their receivers can't catch. The difference is Arch is throwing passes that nobody can catch, and DJ Lagway's throwing passes that only the defense can catch. So pick your poison there. But no, the difference this year to last year, because look, Florida probably exceeded expectations a year ago, right? Everybody was kind of looking at and saying, Billy Napier's gone after this year. They've got the toughest schedule in college football this year. There's no way he makes it through the season. And then Graham Mertz goes down. And you're starting there saying, well, the veteran quarterback is gone, but now we get the 5-star freshman, the National Gatorade Player of the Year. Let's see how he can reinvigorate this offense. And he did to an extent, right? They played some pretty passionate football games. They ended up going to Death Valley and beating LSU. They had some big wins there. This year it's different because the hope that was there last year that you could kind of reach back into your sleeve and say, hold on, it's not going our way yet. And because of injury, we got to play him earlier, but we got to trick up our sleeve with DJ Lagway here. Well, now your cards are on the table and you're sitting around saying, we have a bad hand. The quarterback's not what we expected. The offensive line isn't establishing the run for Jaden Ball. Defensively, we're playing competitively, but we can't get off the field. Where do we look for inspiration? And if you get dubbed up by Miami, and you got to look ahead to Texas. Well, they're going to get up for Texas, but how much more up can you get if you're sitting at 1-3, knowing that you're about to embark on SEC play week after week? So I think it spirals pretty quickly for Florida if they don't win this weekend.
Yeah, at least if you're Texas, you got proven commodities, right? Your defense is a proven commodity. It hasn't been tested yet. I mean, Ohio State was somewhat conservative. Right, with a first-time starter and Julian Sand, that was a conservative. I've watched their game since, and obviously they haven't played a caliber opponent like Texas, but they've opened things up a little bit more, right, with Julian Sand. And, of course, that's easier to do when you're not playing against that Texas defense. So it'll be – and I don't think Florida's really going to test them now looking at it either. Honestly, I hate to say it, guys, the first big test for this Texas defense is going to be Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't like it.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started, Rod.
Yeah, I know you've been on the material.
We're gonna get the chat riled up tonight.
Yeah, I already know. And I was talking on material too in the off season, and I said if he looked at Washington State, there's gonna be trouble. Well, he looks like right now. He looked at Washington State. But that's the first big test for the Texas defense. But I still think the Texas defense is gonna be legit. I still think in the end it'll end up being legit. And the special teams. That, like I said, that's another thing coming out of the game. I mean, we talk the Arch Manning conversation is, obviously the main headline, and it's a negative conversation for the most part. But man, your special teams is stepping up. Boomeister looks great. Yeah. Right, Niblett stepped up, looks fantastic now in the return game. Right, yeah. I mean, so 2 of your 3 phases have a chance to be really good to great, maybe even elite. Your problem is your offense right now is one of the worst in the SEC.
Hey, Coach Irwin yesterday on Lunch with Coach, he and I do a show with Bobby on today, and he said we have a SEC defense and a Southland Conference offense. I thought that was pretty accurate.
Man.
That's great. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Good.
Jeff Howe shared a great stat with us in our OTF chat earlier today, and I wanted to bring it to light because it deserves some recognition, but also paints that offense in such a bleak picture. 24 points per game, 5.39 yards per play so far for the Texas offense through 3 weeks. That is the worst start of a Texas offense since 2014. Sean Watson's offense of 20.7 points per game and 4.57 yards per play. So, look, I've been saying it can't get much worse, but the competition is only going to improve after this upcoming weekend, and they got to figure things out. And time's running out, man. It's running out.
Oh, don't disrespect the Southland Conference like that. That stat is, oh man, it is. It's sad and funny and scary all at the same time. If you're a Longhorns fan,
Sean Watson's offense was the worst that I have ever seen. I mean, he couldn't even call a play. Get to play a game, I have to call a timeout. That was bad. Don't tell me that's where we are.
It's a little bit better.
Go down there and let the Arkansas coach get all erotic or whatever he was getting.
You're borderline erotic. That's right.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Oh man, that is that stat right there.
I just spit up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think we all I think Longhorn fans right there just have flashbacks and not the good.
Blame Jeff for that stat.
It's a great, like I said, great stat. Good for him, but that is a rabbit hole I do not want to go down. All right, let's thank our one of our sponsors before we dive into some more text forum conversation. I see some super chats and questions. We're going to get to all of them, guys. I promise you that. Let's thank our friends at Vaughn Lane first before we move on. Very happy and proud of our partnership with our friends over at Vaughn Lane. Even had them. They were the ones that were actually transporting us around the great state of Texas during our Texas tour that we had with our good friends over at Third and Longhorn, and we had a great time. And now, actually, my guys over at Third and Longhorn said now they're huge fans of Vaughn Lane, and they're going to be taking it on business trips and to go visit family. And I recommend you do it too. It doesn't matter if you have to travel for business or travel to go visit family. I know a lot of you out there like to drive yourself, and that's a lot of stress dealing with the road rage, and you got to deal with traffic, and then you lose all the productivity because you're driving back and forth on the road. There's also a lot of you out there that like to fly, whether you're going to Texas or you're going to Houston, or you're going to Dallas, or you're going to Austin or San Antonio. And that can also be very stressful. Hoping your flight isn't delayed and dealing with the general high stress level of any airport experience. Well, the Vaughn Lane offers a more relaxing, luxurious travel experience. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience. It takes minutes, not hours. You settle into one of just 22 oversized first-class leather seats with 140-degree recline, leg rest, and a cabin attendant serving complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal if you like. And if you need to relax, it's pretty simple. Just lean back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. Fall travel is booking fast, so reserve your spot now for October trips to Texas versus OU in Dallas, F1 and ACL in Austin, or college football weekends in Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston. Vaughn Lane connects all of those cities, and including now, in addition to Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, now add Nashville, Atlanta, Memphis, Knoxville, the Woodlands, Plano to that list. Visit VaughnLane.com. Use the code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Vaughn Lane. Vaughn Lane Elevated Regional Bus Transportation. All right, let's get right to the super chats here. Not waste any time. How about this one from Menu to Sports? Thank you for the super chat. Says, this is perfect. Actually, we got a piece of sound, I think, that actually may highlight this conversation. He says, receiver question, fellas. What the hell is wrong with Mosley? Does anybody know? And do we have a timeline for return? CJ, throwing this one to you.
Ooh, for the longest time, I don't think anybody knew exactly what was wrong with him at Mosley. And it sounds like it's a hamstring issue. It sounds like it's something that has lingered around dating back to when he first arrived in the summer. It sounds like maybe there needs to be something cleaned up behind the scenes in terms of how he's preparing and going about treatment and how they're handling it as well. But altogether, look, hamstrings linger. It's one of those things where you feel good one day, you take a step the wrong way, and it flares back up. So it's unfortunate that CJ Baxter is now dealing with one, as is Trey Wisner. So that's not a great sign. But altogether, the hope Look, we heard about a week or two ago is that the Florida game would be a time in which you could have circled on the calendar when he would be back. But ultimately, man, I don't know. Someone in the chat earlier today said that they're just going to start calling Emmett Mosley Bigfoot because all you do is hear about him. You never see him. You don't know anything about him. Is he even real? And I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, maybe he is Bigfoot. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I'm hoping that at one point he can contribute, but at this point you can't. You got bigger issues now affecting this offense. And speaking of wide receiver, CJ, you actually asked Sark about the wide receiver room today. I believe you had a question for him about the wide receiver room. And here's and Matthew, if you wouldn't mind getting this ready to go, is basically about the reps for the young. Well, you asked a question, so you can let the folks know better than I can.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, Texas is very dinged up at playmaker, right? Down 4 of its top 6 playmakers entering the season. No DeAndre Moore, no Emmett Mosley, as we've talked about at wide receiver. Texas added 3 5-star kids out of this last recruiting cycle. Where are they, right? That's what I wanted to ask. How close are they to seeing the field? Because ultimately, I do think that some of these guys need looks. At some point, you need to see what these guys can do because the guys that you're putting on the field otherwise ultimately just are not putting any sort of fear on the field for the opposing defenses. So this is Sark talking about my question to him about how far some of these guys are and how well, or I guess how much he believes in the depth of those wide receiver playmakers as well.
This is great experience for these guys. I thought that, Niblett stepped in a lot for DeAndre last week, but we incorporated, Day-Day McCutcheon a fair amount. And it's unfortunate we had a breakdown in protection or he's going to have a big-time catch down the middle of the field. And so they're close. I think Khalil Lockett has shown some real progression here. And again, the flow of the game just didn't offer an opportunity to get those guys in there more. And that's what we're striving for. It's like these opportunities, I want to give them to these guys. They got to keep trying to earn our trust throughout practice that they can go out and perform and do the things that they need to do in game. And there's learning experiences in game that we have to, as coaches, understand they're not going to be perfect. They're going to make young guy mistakes. And those young guy mistakes may, hamper the offense's rhythm at times. But I need them to fail some so that they can grow. And that's part of the evolution and the growth of an offense that way. I'm hopeful that I don't have to put 3 young guys out there together, that you can spot 1 or 2 at a time, and the other 1 or 2 vets can kind of help that guy get situated. But we're going to need them, and we're going to need them at some point. So the more we can play them now, the better it's going to serve us, because we're probably going to need them in October, November, December, and hopefully into January.
Mm-hmm. So
All right. I like
a lot
that.
of what I was hoping to hear from Sark there was that these guys are close. And I don't know if we necessarily heard that from him. It's about earning the trust of Chris Jackson and Steve Sarkisian and Kyle Flood. But, Coach, I mean, there's got to be some usage for a Jamie French. There's got to be some usage for a Michael Terry or a Khalil Lockett. I'd like to get your thoughts, because wide receiver, it's a fickle thing, right? You got to learn your trade. You got to be finesse off the line. You got to be sturdy with your hands. Everything goes into it. But all in all, if you cannot create separation, if you cannot block on the outside, it's worth exploring, in my opinion, some other options.
Yeah, I think it is worth exploring, but there's a reason why they're not playing. And the reason why, and I don't know for sure what that reason is. Maybe they're not picking it up fast enough. Maybe it is a trust issue. But you would think there's a couple that you have in your hip pocket plays that these guys, you want to get them in there and get them a little action, and something that they know they can't mess up or whatever, and get them in the game and let them get their feet wet a little bit, And I was really hoping this 3-game stretch would be an opportunity for us to see those guys, and just see what we've got. I don't know what we've got. I don't know that anybody that's not inside the program knows what we've got, but like I said, until Arch gets straightened out, none of that really matters a whole lot. And I think he will. I think he'll get better, and I think it was interesting to hear Sark talk the same thing we've been talking about since the game and that is that Arch was pressing.
Mm-hmm.
He's pressing. He's rushing his throws, and he's just, it's just until he gets past that stage, it's not really going to matter. But we're hoping and counting on him getting over that. And there's things that are going on in practice, like you talked about earlier today in your live cast, CJ. There's things out there that the coaches and the players are seeing that they like, because he's obviously done it in practice and done it very well in practice. Why it's not translating to the field, I don't know. Some guy called, antagonizing you about who your sources are on the stuff you've been hearing. Hey, I've seen the same thing. Yeah. I've seen the exact same thing. Why a guy can't put it together on game day? It's just it's a mental thing, and it's an emotional thing, and he's going to have to work through it.
Yeah, you guys saw it last year in the 2 starts though too. I mean, I watched 2 starts versus ULM and Mississippi State. The quarterback I see today is barely recognizable when trying to compare the two, right, and just flashes of him from last season. So I think it's all. Matter of fact, he admitted it. So shout out to I just said CB mentioned it in the chat, but when they asked him if it was mental or physical, what's going on with Arch, he said probably mental. To be honest, I think I just need to go out there and play my game. Sark brought up the fact that for Arch, who, first family of football, has, obviously, I'm sure has dealt with, inconsistency or, having to improve, but never adversity on this level. No. Right, with his game. Why? His most anticipated start. The starting quarterback for any college football team maybe ever. And the hype was also unprecedented. So nobody can really relate to what he's going through. And Sark talked about how he's going to, once he gets on the other side of it, he'll see that this adversity really helped kind of build his football character, kind of make him the great player that he's going to become. But it's interesting that he mentioned that it is mental. There are no physical, and not that I've seen and not that I've heard anybody discuss physically. There isn't some limitation that's right now leading to this inconsistency or these really kind of errant throws and these chaotic moments for him. It's just he's in his own head. The 2 throws, or at least the 2 plays that remind me of kind of him having the yips, the 2 4th downs, the 4th and 3 where Parker Livingstone's wide open, ends up throwing the interception later on. And then the other 4th down where Parker Livingstone's wide open for the post route, and he just airmails it. Those are just him in his own head. Those are throws he makes, I'm sure, in practice 9 out of 10 times, easy. And he's struggling with it in the game. So I think they also indicated he might be too hard on himself. Sark talks about that he may be his own worst critic, which as a football player, coach, how do you deal with that? Because we've had some players like that. I was really hard on myself, but only after the game. After the game, rewatch, and then we do film study. Then, coach, I'm hard on myself, and even after the game, I remember those moments, thinking, man, that I was almost kind of borderline depressed, thinking about, oh man, I gave up that play. That was a terrible play. What I got to do and get better. But during the game, I do remember being so deep in my alter ego that I did not let that affect my confidence. It wasn't. I was not going to let that drain my confidence, because if something bad happened in the game, either I had a short memory about it or I made an excuse for it and moved on to the next play. And was as a player, this too, coach, you can't wait to, after having a bad play, you got to have a good play. The sooner you have a good play, the better. The sooner you have a bad play, it's all right, I got to go have a good play. I got to go make a good tackle. I got to make a play. I got to do something positive. Otherwise, you have another negative play. Then you start a slow spiral. I call it quicksand. It was oh man, all I'm making is negative plays out here. No. You got to make them. So for Arch, I do think those 10 straight incompletions, you get that negative play. That's a little bit, some of that's on Sark too. You got to get him a positive play. You got to get him in a positive play and get him one right now. Just say, that's why I think Sark sometimes I'm just going to run him. I need a positive play. I need him to have because I don't need him to get in the mindset of, oh man, I'm in the quicksand mindset. You got to get a positive play. And as a player, I remember thinking, having that bad play and going, I need to have a good play. I got to have a good play. I need to contribute to a tackle. I got to make a play on the ball. I got to have great coverage. Even if it's not a target at me, I got to have elite coverage on that play where I like, oh, that was elite coverage. I know it. And I think for Arch, that's sometimes what he's missing. Literally the simple kind of the simple task, or really the simple reward of seeing it go through the hoop, man. Like just a simple, and that's what I think they got to get back to. Yeah. Sorry, that was long, but
he doesn't look like a kid that's having fun playing football.
No.
And that was one of the big things that we saw a lot of in 2024 was, the celebrations, the swagger, the mean mug at A&M. It's like, okay, like he's feeling himself as he should. He's making big plays. And then, you see him tighten up against Ohio State. And obviously he's been pressing the last 2 weeks as a result. And well, when you tighten up and you press, you lose mechanics, you lose footwork, your arm drops, balls go everywhere. And that's not who we've seen or not who we've heard of in practice. And it's almost like he needs somebody in the huddle. Just tell him that he smells like dog crap, just lighten the mood, get him to laugh. I remember playing baseball and, as a catcher, I'd walk out there and I would never tell the pitcher anything mind blowing. I don't know what you do for your mechanics, but I'd sit there and just say, dude, you kind of suck right now, dude, just throw it over the plate. If they want to hit it 500 feet, let them hit it 500 feet. But they, just try to lighten the mood. And as a result, sometimes you'd have a pitcher come back there and he figures something out. He just chuckles, right? Just lighten the mood. And right now, I don't think there's anything of that. And again, I look back at Trey Wisner walking onto the field with Quinn Ewers against Michigan. You're a dog. Go be a dog. I got your back. You got my back. We're dogs. There's none of that right now.
No.
Texas misses Trey Wisner. They do. And they need somebody in that huddle, in that offensive room to lighten the mood, someone to carry the weight of that burden that Arch currently has on both shoulders right now. So that's what I hope to see this upcoming weekend. Obviously, we thought we'd see a little bit of it this past weekend, but that's got to change. And Arch needs to have fun playing football because we're seeing what it's look like when he doesn't have it, and it's ugly. It's bad.
Yeah, great. That's a great message. They're playing. They're uptight. Yeah, they're uptight. As I always said, great story about VY in the huddle, the national title game, right? Trying to loosen everybody up. Like, oh, man, y'all loosen up a little bit. That story about Joe Montana in the Super Bowl, 20 John Candy. Like, hey, guys, loosen up. It's good. We all good here. Yeah, you do need that. I remember playing with teams that we played tight in big games at times and lost those big games because we played tight instead of playing confident, right? You belong there. Like, you belong. Like, just like you're a dog. Go be a dog. You belong. Don't ever start thinking you don't belong in that moment.
Yep.
There's a reason.
It's like you need that offensive huddle instead of worrying about the next snap. They need to be watching the Jumbotron, watching like the 3 helmets, and you got the 1 ball underneath, and they got bets on the side of who's got the cut or the right number. And it's like, well, just something to get the mind off of. I need to make the next play. Or
no, I agree with you 100%. There definitely needs to be some of that. I'm not watching a lot of guys having fun on offense, and obviously when you're not making plays, you're not having fun. But they don't have swagger and confidence either. Also hard to do when you're not making the plays. But you gotta for some guys, you need to have that unshakable confidence, and they don't have that right now. And it starts with Arch. There's no question. All right, getting back to the super chats. Daniel here. He says, Daniel, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. How will you guys feel if we hang 70 on Sam Houston and start giving the rest of the team the yips? He has not been the leader we hoped he would be. Oh, it start giving the team the yips. Coach, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, he's not helping, because when you go for it so many times on 4th down and you don't get it, that lets the wind out of your sails, but that's who he is, I wonder, he hasn't been able to unlock that quarterback whisperer guru stuff that we thought he had. Yeah. And he has not been able to figure that out. And I'm sorry, as a coach, coaches, you've got to be a mentor. You've got to be a motivator. You've got to be a counselor. You've got to be a therapist. I mean, you've got to know how to get kids' minds right. That's a huge part of your job as a coach. Mm-hmm. And it starts by recruiting guys. that fit into the mindset. And that's what I thought we were doing. I thought we were recruiting these guys that fit the mindset and the culture. And I think that we have, but everybody, I think you hit the nail on the head, CJ. They're not really having fun. There's zero swagger in that offense. And it's just like they're just waiting for the next bomb to drop, you know, something else to blow up, you know.
Yeah. Every big play seems like relief. You know what I mean? Instead of like expecting to make those big plays and then having your celebrations ready, because it's like, yeah, of course, this is what we do. We make big plays and then we got celebrations ready to go. It seems like a lot of it is, whoo, thank God that worked. All right, there you go. All right, see, okay, all right. Woo.
That's one play I won't be yelled at on film for, you know. Like, I go back to Archer's second rushing touchdown. You know, great call. You know, takes the QB draw and he runs basically scot-free right up the middle for a 5-yard touchdown. And I didn't really see any celebration. You know, he kind of turned around, patted some offensive linemen, and walked back. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This was the guy that was mean mugging. This is the guy that was getting, you know, pumped up. It's like, I know the game hadn't gone your way, but where is that?
Where is that?
Because that's infectious.
Mm-hmm. You know, some people don't like touchdown celebrations and they don't like, you know, celebrations on defense. And I always say I love them. And if I was a coach, I'd say they're necessary because that means my players expect to succeed. That means they expect to succeed and they know exactly what they're going to do when they succeed. They're going to celebrate in this fashion with your teammates, of course, and respectfully. But I remember criticizing the Texas defensive backfield in 2022 and 2023 saying, where's the celebrations at, man? When you get a PBU, they get a PBU and they don't even know through. They're like, I get, there you go. It's like, you know, what are you doing? Have a celebration ready to go, dude. You know what I mean? Have something cool ready. And then in 2024, man, they had all these nice little cool celebrations ready to go because they expected to succeed. Same thing with Arch. When Arch scored last season, man, he was doing all this cool stuff and they had handshakes and everything. Where is it? You should expect to succeed. So that's what the swagger's missing. And I think they should go out and hire the best sports psychologist there is for Arch. I agree with that. See people talking about the therapy. No, they should. I know you guys are joking about it, but they should. Texas has sports psychologists, so I'm sure they're adequate. But if you're Texas and the situation is as dire as it is, why not literally go and you got the Manning connection? Why not go and get like the top 3 to 5 best sports psychologists in the world? The one who have worked with all the best athletes, the ones who worked with LeBron and worked with Steph Curry, and the ones who worked with the best golfers in the world and all that. And I think I like what Jerry said. He said you should probably go get the ones that work with some of the individual sports like golf, because it feels like that's a more individual thing, and the quarterback, or maybe something that worked with quarterbacks, because this is something nobody else can relate to what he's going through. Yeah, this is you can say it. So yes, football is the ultimate team sport. But he's walking a path that nobody's ever walked before, not even a Manning. I mean, they've not been this hyped up before a season, that kind of stuff. So he's got to work through it kind of on his own because nobody's been there before. But, you know, I think this, like Coach said, Sark has got to be that for Arch right now, too. He's got to be some of those things, too. But I do think they need to go sit him down with a sports psychologist. What can it hurt? I'm sure maybe he's already seeing one, but nothing wrong with that. All right, let's get back to, you know what? Before we get back to some of the questions, we got a bunch of them here in Super Chats. Let's hit my man Stevie Lee because he has just joined us. We don't want to make him wait long because we appreciate him joining us each and every Monday, courtesy of our good friends at Hardgrove Roofing. HardGroveRoofing.com. You can reach out to them today. They're offering a free roof inspection at offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. We appreciate our good friends at Hardgrove Roofing for sponsoring our show and also helping bring on lifetime Longhorn, my former teammate, Stevie Lee. Stevie, how was your weekend, brother? How's everything?
I'm okay. I was hoping y'all forgot about me because I don't want to talk about this.
No, I've been waiting to hear your thoughts. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. We're not going to bet for either. So give me your thoughts about what Arch is going through. I was just talking about him going to see a sports psychologist.
Yeah, man. I actually been listening to you guys for a minute. I like y'all's perspective. I think that's better than what I was thinking, man. I was thinking that there.
Okay. I see what you did there, Stevie. You're going to cut yourself out right when you got to get to the meat of it. I was thinking cut off. Okay, that was clever. Okay, we're going to get Stevie Lee back there. That was very clever by Stevie Lee. You're going to cut off right when you get to the meat of it. Back to the super chats. Lane with a super chat here. He said, kids trying to live up to 3 legacies and the offseason hype. Perfect conditions for a head case. Did media ask if he got a psychologist? No, that's a great point, man. Like I said, that you're right. Like we talked about the hype and how unprecedented it was. I was with Chris Sims. Chris Sims is one of my best friends in the world. All right. And he dealt with the pre-social media hype. You lived at Stevie, you was with us. And there's no doubt he put more pressure on himself in big games. There is no doubt that affected his play. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all. It cut off on me, but
I think he did.
Can I get? Yeah. Can I go back to what I was saying?
Please do.
For me, I was thinking that there may have been a cancer on the team. There's some bickering going on with the team, within the team, and or within the offense, I should say. That's what I was thinking, man. But I think that you guys are more spot on than I am. I think that, golly, it's just hard to say what's going on, man, because we saw him do well in 2 games last year, right? We saw him do well whenever he comes in. He came in one of the biggest games of the season last year at Georgia, and he did well, right? So I'm baffled. Yeah, I hear you. I'm baffled a little bit on what is going on right now, man. I'm looking around like, how did I get this so wrong? Right? Y'all know what my predictions were in the beginning of the season. Y'all know it, but now I'm looking around like I heard CJ talking about it. Like I was like, are we going to make a bowl, guys? Playing the way we are, you know? So yes, we are going to make a bowl, guys. Yes. And I think that we get this right and right this ship. But something's got to give this weekend, man. It has to. I don't want to come on here and be negative on here, man, but it wasn't pretty. We got the talent, we got the money, golly, and so let's put the product on the field and show us what you got, man. It has not been, it's not lived up to the hype right now at all.
Something that's interesting, and we're not talking about it enough. Because first of all, we're not giving the defense enough love because most of our complaining is directed at the offense. Just so people know. I think defense, nobody's got any issue with the defense. Defense has been great. But I'll admit, Colin Simmons, basically your 2 most hyped up and actually arguably your 2 best players on offense and defense preseason were Arch Manning and Colin Simmons. And both of them started slow. Now, the difference is on defense, when Colin Simmons does heat up, damn, that defense is going to be really good. Yeah. On offense, you see what happens at that position when your quarterback starts slow. All your other issues become exacerbated on offense, right? Everything's a little bit worse. What are your thoughts about Colin Simmons, though? Because I don't think he registered like a stat at all last game. I want to say shout out to my man CB through that. I don't think he registered a stat at all last game, which is a little bit mind-blowing.
Yeah.
He needs to learn how to affect the game. I heard Alex Okafor say this. It was a great point. He needs to learn how to affect the game in other ways other than being a pass rusher.
That is a great point. But, you know, sometimes when players have breakout seasons, sometimes they have a slump that next season, a little bit of a slump. And then we also put a lot of expectations on him too. So it's early in the season in a already good defense, right? So he's still doing his job. It's just the registering, you know, the pretty plays like a strip fumble and sacks and things like that we haven't necessarily did. I'm not worried about the defense or him. Like you said, let's talk back about the offense. I love defense. So.
No, I'm not trying to blunt, but I think it's something worth discussing.
Yeah, no question. You're right. You're exactly right. But I think that he and the defense they're going to be fine. I did question that he didn't register some stats that I wanted him to register in the Ohio State game. but the defense still played well. At the University of Texas, and you know this, Rod, back in the day, if we said we held someone to 14 points, we win the game.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, I mean, holding somebody to 14 points at the University of Texas, somebody on offense is going to get us at least 2 scores and a kicker put it in at least. Yeah. So, I'm cool with the defense because they've been on the field a lot because of the offense, you know. So I don't have a problem with defense right now at all.
I do want to give them some love. Look, on 7 fourth down attempts, they've created 6 turnover on downs. That's 1 for 7. That's pretty good. They're
Real
top
good.
20 in the country on third downs as well. They've forced 6 turnovers in the last 2 weeks. They're doing their job. And again, I think they're far from their ceiling. You had a 30-yard run allowed against UTEP. Take that away, I think the longest rush was 3 yards. So, look, they're close, and they're taking those steps forward each time. But we saw a comment earlier, Stevie, and I wanted to get your thoughts because we've talked about this in spring football and fall camp. When one side of the ball is, head and shoulders above the other side. How frustrating can that be? And, how much of a how intentional are the coaches to not have one side or the other kind of pick on the other side?
That's good. That's good. You remember that?
That's a great question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Rod, you want to take that one? I don't know. I don't think that coaches will. I think we're mature enough not to pick on the other side, but we also walk over there like, hey, man, let's get this together. And I'm using PG words, right? So the offense of the defense. I mean, I did it in high school. My quarterback was Brock Berlin, and he was struggling one game. I got a fumble. I picked up the fumble, ran to the sideline, and pushed it in his chest and said, "Put the ball in the end zone." Put the ball in the end zone. And so you do get frustrated sometimes as a defense, but you got to figure out a way to do it like a leader on the defense. Figure out a way to do it that's respectful, but like, hey, it's time for you to perform. So, and that may be what it takes, I mean, Arch has the name. He might feel he may be untouchable with other guys on the team. He may be intimidating for the defense to walk up to him and say something like that. I don't know. But someone has to say, get out your head and put this thing in the end zone. You know what I mean?
That's a great story. It is because I'm going to say that resentment doesn't happen, but you do have to be careful in terms of the focus of the defense, right? Because you can grow frustrated. Say you're on they say defense just force a 3 and out, and then your offense goes 3 and out. They keep going 3 and out, or it's a turnover. And there's been frustration on the sideline with what's going on offense, especially if they're underperforming. I think it's important for the defense to really galvanize and start to focus on their standard, irregardless of the situation and circumstance. Like, we don't care about sudden change. We don't care about where they got the ball. No excuses. There's no excuses on defense. Like, that's the mind of a defensive guy anyway. Like, you always at a disadvantage. You're on defense. Like, that's the reality of it. No excuses about, hey, the offense didn't get the job done, or, oh man, that was a terrible kick, so we ended up being put in a disadvantageous position. No, it's defense, baby. We show up, and you gotta really cultivate that mindset over and over again. There are no excuses. We play to a standard. We don't give up points. We hold guys to field goals, whatever. We don't give up explosive plays, whatever it may be. Even when the complementary football element is not being met by the other side of the ball. That's
so. If y'all will allow me, I got a kind of a question for you, CJ. I mean, who's QB2 at the University of Texas right now?
Wow.
It is Matthew Caldwell. He's the guy that would see the field if Arch were to go down, or for whatever other reason was unable to see time on the field. So that's where Texas would be Matthew Caldwell.
Gotcha.
Sark was asked if he thought about benching him. He was asked about that. or what it would take to bench him. Wasn't he asked about that, CJ?
Yeah. And like Sark, there's kind of a quarterback's code there. And we saw it last year with Quinn. He's going to protect his guy. I don't think, you would have to see Arch forget how to throw a forward pass. I know a lot of folks are probably sitting there saying, well, we're close to that. But he would really have to, he'd probably have to, I don't even want to say it. I'm not going to put it in the universe, but things would have to be really bad for that decision to be made.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, it's hard to say that though. As a coach, you're held to a different standard, and if you want to put your check in a kid's mouth just over loyalty, So I don't know, man. If it gets bad or any worse, you got to really think about, what do I do? Is it on me, or do I make a change?
Yeah.
So
now, sorry to cut you off, Stevie, but for Arch, he is a good enough athlete where you don't need his arm to be the focal point. And I put up an article today where I kind of just said, Sark, it's time to put away the pride. Arch isn't what you thought he was going to be when it comes to his arm so far through 3 weeks, but it's time to give him the crown and anoint him the next Haynes King. And what I mean by that is you run power, you run counter, you run duo, and you do it all with the quarterback. And you live with 3 to 4 to 5 yards from that quarterback run game, and you allow that running game to also flourish as a result. But on top of that, you need your offensive line to play well, and you need just that much of a threat with the passing game to keep defenses from stacking the box. If you're able to do that, you're going to have successful offense if you can evolve into that. And I look back at that Clemson game that Georgia Tech just won with a walk-off field goal. What did they do when they got the ball back north of 2 minutes in the fourth quarter in a tied game? They didn't trust Haynes King's arm. In fact, only one pass was completed on the 9 plays that they went to get 38 yards to get into position for a 55-yard field goal. They didn't trust Haynes King's arm that much that they played for a 55-yard field goal in college. They threw the ball once, 9-yard completion. What they did do was 5 different rush attempts with Haynes King, picking up 18 yards total to get into position. Just saying, hey, we trust you. You can do that with Arch Manning. He's a good enough player. 7 designed rush attempts, Rob. That's the most in a Sark since when?
2015 at least. That's as far back as I could.
It racked up 50 yards. That's the best, most explosive, consistent offense that we've seen so far with Arch. It's not pretty. You're probably not going to have any sort of box scores, or definitely not going to win any type of individual awards with the statistics at the end of the year. But against good defenses, we've seen Arch be able to pick up big chunk yards with his legs. And again, if that inconsistency isn't there with the arm, well, you can use his legs. You can use the running backs. You can use the quick screens or the pop passes. And, hey, if they ever figure it out, you already got that defense worried about what the hell he's going to do with his legs. So,
yeah, from your lips to God's ears. But that was last year with the last year's O-line. This O-line this year, I don't feel like that they're as good as last year too. So,
they're not.
Yeah, so that's a factor as well. So Arch can pull it down and run, but there's some holes right there in that O-line as well. So we're looking at that too. So we had a whole year and a whole lot of money to fix all the holes on this offense, and I don't think that it's been done. Yep. I just don't. I'm sorry. I try to be nice, y'all. I'm trying.
No. It's time to stop being polite and start getting real.
Yeah, no question, man. And I shout out to my teammate Marcus Myers is in the chat over here, just fighting for his life over there. So shout out, Marcus.
Hey, that's family right there, man.
Yeah, no question.
That's family right there. Hey, Stevie, thank you so much for joining us. We won't take up too much of your evening, but we really appreciate your perspective each and every time. You always bring great stuff to the show, man. So thanks for the energy and have a great rest of the week.
I appreciate it, man. And I think that we need to start the show a little bit earlier because Coach Shipley is sleepy over there, man.
We almost done. We almost done. The coach knows we're at the tail end. We're in the fourth quarter.
I love you, Coach.
Love you, Stevie.
All right, Stevie.
Have a good one, buddy.
Thanks, Stevie.
All right. That's our man, Stevie Lee, courtesy of our good friends at Hardgrove Roofing. Hardgroveroofing.com. Go check them out. If you have any concerns about your roof, you can actually reach out to them, 512-645-3202, with offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. They're the most pro-burnt orange roofing company out there, the choice of customers everywhere for a superior, reliable service. If you're in need of a new roof, you'll want to know who's on your roof with our friends at Hardgrove Roofing. I saw I forget who in the chat said their motto should be the ceiling is the roof. They should take the MJ motto, which would be pretty good.
That would be good.
Okay. Let's get back to the super chats here, guys. Lane, I think we hit the Lane one already. He did ask, the media asked if he got a psychologist. I did hear the media ask him about, him dealing with these struggles. And I think they asked him if he had support or someone to help him go when he's going through this adversity and these struggles. Like, who does he rely on? I don't know if they asked him if he's dealing with a sports psychologist. Maybe that's personal, but I think he should, and he shouldn't be ashamed of it, by the way.
I don't think you'd ever hear if he had a sports psychologist.
Probably not. But there are a lot of guys who have them.
I know it.
And gals too, by the way. I'm just saying. So, all right. Aloha Traveler says, God forbid it doesn't work out. Do you think Sark has the fortitude to go out and get a QB in the portal? Miami, Ohio State, Notre Dame, OU have proved it's how you fix the problem. Damn, he got Quinn in the portal.
Yeah.
But you talk about over Arch instead of Arch, or to compete with Arch.
I don't see it.
Coach?
I'm not there yet.
I'm not either, but I will admit, and you know what? I'll throw this out there right now. Let me just hit this real quick before we move on to the next super chat. All right. I went and did a little research on our friends at Sam Houston State and their pass defense. Okay, so here we go. Sam Houston State's pass defense, 133rd overall in pass defense. Completion percentage allowed there, 115th. Yards per attempt allowed there, 108th. Touchdowns allowed, 131st. 10-plus yard completions allowed, they're 128th. 20-plus yard completions allowed, they're 119th. 30-plus yard completions allowed, 124th. They've actually allowed more 40-yard completions than any school in the FBS. This is the slump buster, gentlemen. If your pass defense don't work against Sam Houston, if your pass offense don't work, against Sam Houston State, then yes, let's hit the panic button, smash it to smithereens. All right, then I will entertain Aloha Traveling what you're talking about. If Arch looks terrible versus Sam Houston State, then yeah, you need to start thinking about some other options, or everything is on the table at that point. Because like I said, this is a slump buster. You know what that third down defense is? Look at that third down defense, 123rd. If Texas can't get third down versus Sam Houston State, press the panic button. Press it. Smash that mofo. If their red zone offense is terrible, they're 102nd in red zone defense. If you can't score in the red zone versus this team, press the panic button. All the stuff y'all talking about is on the table. All right, so there you go. That's why you should care, because it's a slump buster. Remember when one of your friends, CJ, coached back in the day for you, when you had that guy friend who was just striking out with the ladies. He just could not close the deal. He just it's like for some reason it was like he just had the slump of all slumps. Like no matter what he was doing, it wasn't working. And then what was the slump buster? You've been getting rejected by these 10s, ththese 9s, these 8s, and these 7s. You see that 3 over there? You see that 3? You need to go over there and close the deal with that 3. All right, and then start working your way back up to the 10. You start with that 3. All right, you get her on board, you close that deal, then you go to a 4, and then you go to a 5. That's what Texas football is right now. Sam Houston State is that 3. Go over there and talk to that 3 in the corner. Go buy her a drink, make her feel good about herself, and then you close that deal, and that'll make everybody feel better about this situation. Slump buster.
You call the Uber to 5th Street because all your buddies are leaving on 7th, and you don't want to see, you don't want them to see what you're going home with.
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
Well, this escalated quickly.
Somebody says UTEP was the slump buster. No. UTEP actually was. They were like top. They were what? They had the most. They were tied for the most sacks. They were like top 5 in tackles for loss. No. UTEP they brought something to the table. So UTEP was like a 5 or a 6.
What UTEP like they lead the country in the fewest missed tackles?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So UTEP brought himself to the table. That wasn't it. So they're like a 5.
Which I want to spin a positive here. Coach, you mentioned UTEP the most successful tackling team through 2 weeks in all of college football. PFF had them as the number 1 team in the country, actually, and graded out tackling defensively. Only 8 missed tackles on the entire season. Texas forced 14. So there's a bright spot, and it wasn't because guys were just in space. I think a lot of that was those running backs needing to create, yards after contact, needing to create or needing to get skinny at times to make guys miss. I actually want to highlight James Simon because I think all of us kind of sat back and said, okay, yeah, show me more of this kid. That was impressive. James Simon, 72 rushing yards on Saturday, I think on 17 rush attempts, 67 yards after contact. So, hey, there's a kid in his first time seeing extended snaps as a Texas Longhorn where the stage, in my opinion, wasn't too big for him. He was able to create, able to make a lot of guys miss, able to really showcase that power, that balance, that speed and vision, everything you want in running back. And I thought he looked really impressive on Saturday. I'm really excited to see what he can do in week 2 for him this upcoming weekend against Sam Houston State, because that, again, is where Texas needs a difference maker. They had it last year with Jaden Blue with that speed in his hand, or with the ball in his hand, that speed was just something you couldn't teach. Can you get that with James Simon? Obviously not to the extent, but something that maybe some guys in that running back room don't have right now. So there's a positive for the folks at home saying we're too negative. There's one.
No, that was good. I like that. All right. Eric here says, do we have any home run hitters on offense? That's the fear factor we were talking about earlier. There's not a lot of the fear factor. I mean, Ryan Wingo was supposed to be that fear factor guy. Trey Weister's not available to you. TJ Baxter's not available. But the home run hitters, to your point, the guys like Jaden Blue was a home run hitter last year. Matthew Golden was a home run hitter. Hey, you can even throw Gunnar Helm in there sometimes. Gunnar Helm was getting some explosive plays for you at the tight end position. You have 11 explosive plays of 20 yards or more so far this season.
Oof.
1 run, and I believe 10 passes. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, until we see it, I'm going to just assume you won't get it out of the running game. I haven't seen it with the blocking up front. So the home run hitters, it's going to have to come on the outside. And I haven't seen a lot of what I thought this offense would be. And we were talking about this pre-show. Just line up, run a fade. We'll get the ball to you. Put 2 guys on one side, maybe even a trip set with a nub tight end. Run 3 verts. Have Arch read where the 1 high safety or 3 high safety goes, and there's where you put the football, right? Haven't seen a lot of that. Haven't seen just that one-on-one, don't think, step back and throw. Mm-hmm. And look, that's not going to remedy the entire offense, but I do think it's opportunities that these playmakers haven't been given the opportunity to create with. You saw 50-50 balls to Parker Livingstone. It's come down with most of them. I'd like to see more of that. And for bad quarterbacks, Coach, you could probably talk about this too. What's the easiest throw for a bad quarterback? Just throw it as far as you can. Have the wide receiver make you right. Haven't seen a lot of that.
Let me throw something at you guys. I'm wondering if part of the problem offensively is that Sark is saving so much for SEC play. Is that one reason that the offense doesn't seem very creative? We're just running a base offense, and we're not showing much for people to be afraid of, with schemes and so forth. It just seemed very, very plain vanilla.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if he's just going to save that one more week and then start pulling out some stuff, when we go down to Florida. I don't know.
That's I've seen folks in the chat talking about that, and Longhorn fans are hoping that's true. There's some conspiracies now that Longhorn fans are just hoping it's true. Like the Arch being hurt thing, and obviously not wishing any ill will on Arch, but Longhorn fans are hoping there's a reason, a justification for him playing so poorly. They're like, oh, Arch is hurt. Of course, that's why he's throwing that way. Of course, why he's so inaccurate. It's he's not hurt, guys. I'm sorry. And
I do wish he stopped doing this every time he's going to pass.
Yeah,
he switches up both elbows, both his shoulders when he's going to throw a pass. I think almost every time Saturday he did that, it was a pass.
Oh,
are you saying it might be tipping plays a little bit?
Yes.
Coach. Now I got to go back and track something like that.
I know it.
Now CJ's gonna be on. I'm gonna look at that too. The problem is the TV copy don't show him every time, so you won't be able to see. But that's interesting. Maybe next time, CJ, when you're there, you're gonna have to start tracking.
I'm gonna have to.
The shoulder, right? The shoulder movement there. That's pretty good. That's good stuff. See, that's why he's a coach, bro. That's why he's here. Thank you, Eric, for that. Pat, and by the way, Coach, that conspiracy theory, I also hoping is true that he's been saving it all for SEC play. Yeah. And I honestly, it's valid. It makes sense because his offense has looked different, but maybe it's just because the quarterback is different. Paxton here. Am I the only person done with these cupcake game? Thanks, Coach. Now we don't get to sleep today. Am I the only person done with these cupcake games? Players don't get up for them, and neither does Sark. Who cares? That's kind of to Coach's point earlier. This is where we were supposed to see all the young guys. Like all we're supposed to be talking about in these 3 weeks is, oh man, look these freshmen. Look at this guy who hadn't played. We saw him for a quarter. But because Arch has played so poorly and the offense has overall, at least the passing game has looked so bad, that you're getting Texas guys playing into the fourth quarter. And Arch is playing in the fourth, doing design runs in the fourth quarter. Who had that one on their ticket? Yeah, design runs for Arch in the fourth quarter versus UTEP? That's wild. So, Paxton, I hope you're right about that too. I hope the players are not motivated for these games, and that's why they've looked lackluster.
They should be. Rob, that's a stat game. You get 3 of them a year. That's where you build your stats. That's where you look back at the end of the year and you say, yeah, I had 1,000 yards. You know why? Because I had 500 east, west, and the blind. You know, that's
true. I like that.
I don't know.
Justin here says, is it too late to install the wishbone? Asking for a friend. If Arch can break the dam this year, I will be ecstatic. He is your leading rusher currently, I believe. And shout out to CJ. CJ's already headed. He got an article over there on TexasFootball.com about that very topic. And Sark did run him 7 times on design runs in that game. So I don't know if you're going to get the 16 Wheeler package I was talking about, but he's going to run more. Whatever we projected his rush attempts, we underestimated that. Yeah, no doubt. Alex here with a super chat. Thank you for that. Says y'all still taking Arch over Mateer. Boomer. See y'all soon. Hey, Alex. Hey, no doubt, right? Yeah. Hey, I would just say that I never hated
Matthew.
There you go. See,
what is this, Matthew?
Hey, that's great. The CJ's been man crush. I would say CJ's had a man crush on Mateer for a while, but I never hated on him. I usually agreed with CJ and was like, the film says he's a baller. So just throwing it out there. I was never hating on him. Not that it matters, Alex. Not that it matters.
I would tell you that's a good example about how difficult it really is to recruit and to evaluate quarterbacks.
Yep.
I mean, John Mateer, probably the top 3 for Heisman, probably right now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you know, the best offer he had out of high school was Washington State. I mean,
yeah,
you know, it's not an exact science. Just because a guy's successful in high school doesn't mean that he's going to light it up in college. And just because a guy doesn't really, he may be in a different offense, but just because a guy doesn't really blow it up and become a national headline in high school doesn't mean that he can't come back and win the Heisman or something. You know, it's a tough. Because so much of it's mental, so much of it's psychological. You know.
It's a great point, Coach. And the great Bill Walsh quote is, very few people can coach the quarterback and even fewer can evaluate them. So, it still applies to this day. How about this one from Terrence says, hey, Rod, are we going to have all our wide receivers playing this Saturday? No. Thank you, Terrence. I don't think so. I mean, Emmett Mosley, I'm just not expecting. I don't know, but we just haven't seen him, haven't heard anything from him. I don't know really about DeAndre Moore, but I wouldn't. Like, it's Sam Houston State. I wouldn't do it I wouldn't risk it if he's dealing with an injury. So this is why we've been talking about those young wide receivers stepping up, those freshmen. Like, you need to see more of them. This should be the game, maybe the last game where you can see those guys step up. All right, thank you, Terrence. Daryl here says, guess how many scoring drives we've had that were longer than 65 yards this year? If you guessed one, you nailed it. Take the big Livingstone play out, and you have 0.
That's pretty scary.
Damn. I have not looked at that, Daryl. There are a lot of scary stats about Texas offense right now. Like the third down stats are scary about Texas offense. Only 11 plays of 20-plus yards or more. That's also scary, not generating a lot of explosive plays. Arch's numbers in the last game. The streak of 10 incompletions, that was the longest on the 40 acres for a starting quarterback since at least 2000, is also pretty scary. You've had a lot of quarterbacks on that started games since 2000, and they have not all had really high upsides, but they've at least been able to operate to the point where they can complete a pass and not go 10 straight incompletions, guys. Think about all the quarterbacks that y'all have booed.
There's been some doozies.
And y'all been booing them too, and they never went 10 straight incompletions. Just throwing it out there. All right, Lane, given what we've seen so far, for what offensive identity would you go with? One examples from recent years. Honestly, I think CJ gave a good one. The Haynes King one is a good example. And I know you risk injury to your quarterback, but Sark showed us in that second half versus UTEP that the quarterback run game, it ended up being a big. I think he had 4 of those design runs in the second half. Can be a big part of the offense, and it's not a luxury anymore. They need it. They need the offense needs it. I don't think they can actually extend drives and move the football without the quarterback run game.
Yeah, I think it's time to evaluate who we are as an offense, because we're not who we thought we are, and it feels like we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Who are we really? I know who we want to be, but do we have the weapons to be that? And if we don't, then we have to evolve the offense to fit our personnel and fit what we can do. Right now, we're not blowing people. I don't know why you think we're going to go blow Georgia and everybody else off the ball when we can't blow UTEP off the ball.
That's a great point.
And so let's figure out who we are, and let's build our offense around the things that we do well, and quit trying to fit something in a hole that's not going to fit. I mean, it's just not. We don't have those playmakers out there right now, and if they're there, put them on the field. Let's see them.
A coach in the NFL tell me football and life are constant struggles deciding between what you want to be and what you need to be. And to your point, Coach, I think Sark wanted to be something and maybe still wants it, but now we know the reality is you need to be, whatever is the kind of basic offense that can move the football for you and just can extend drives and get first downs.
That's what a great coach does, by the way. A great coach takes the talent that he has and forms his game plan around that, what you have. And, you just say, well, I love track and field. It's the same way in track and field. You build your relays and you build your field events and you build things around the guys that are going to get you points, and if a guy's a sprinter, you're not going to put him in the mile, you got to make him a hurdler, I thought he was going to be a great sprinter. No, he's going to be a hurdler, whatever, figure it out.
Solve the problem. Christian here with a super chat. Is there an official update on Jonah Williams? I was really looking forward to seeing his skill set on kickoff returns.
Nothing.
I know. Yeah.
Nope.
Nothing. Yeah. I know. This was the game. These are the games you were hoping to see Jonah. If you don't see him in these games, you're probably not going to see Jonah much this season, I would imagine. Thank you for that, Christian. We appreciate the super chat. Paxton here says, Coach Shipley, it's a different day and age. Who cares about these cupcake games, says Paxton.
Well, I was looking forward to these cupcake games to let this team, especially offense, grow up and see what these young players were. Exactly. In a perfect world, that's what we were all talking about all offseason.
Mm-hmm.
We got a great test, first rattle out of the box, going to Ohio State. And then let's work on the things we need to work on. We learned from that game for 3 weeks and have fun and let the young guys play and get healthy and all that stuff. So we really needed cupcake games, but they're very frustrating.
You need them.
With the team that we have right now, and the offense struggling the way that it is, you need cupcake games to try to figure it out.
Yeah. Thank God you got these cupcakes. Thank God you didn't schedule like a mid-tier team here. It could really give you a run for your money right now in the season. I agree with that. Clayton with the last super chat of the night says, Coach Shipley, Do you think the yips is a real thing? Do you know anyone that has ever had it that has been able to overcome the yips?
Well, I'm sure you're not talking about golf. I'm sure you're talking about football. Yeah, there's not a great cure rate in my experience. There's not been. The survival rate for the yips is not, it's just not. I mean, because it's between the ears, and that's the most difficult thing for humans to try to figure out is how to get somebody out of that rut that they're in, or lack of confidence or swagger or whatever, having fun, whatever it is. It's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's hard. I'm not saying the Arch can't overcome it. Certainly he can, but it may take a while.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Nobody knows really how much it'll take. That's why I say sports psychologist is the way to go. You know what fixes the yips? Having a Shipley play wide receiver. You're damn right. That's where we can end things. Let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge. Texas football fans, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. They have over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, you also get employee incentive pricing. That means you pay what the employees pay right now at South Point Dodge. You won't find a better deal than that. They call it the real deal at South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com. You can go see them off of I-35 in South Austin, or go to southpointdodge.com, whether you need a car, truck, trade-in, something new, something used. Our friends at South Point Dodge are Austin's automotive everything. Go to southpointdodge.com. Joshy here says, thank you for the super chat, Joshy. Arch's season will look like 2023 Milroe. Book it. Damn, I hope that is.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed there's some life in 2025.
Yeah, different types of runners too. Milroe and Arch. All right. Thank you guys for all the super chats, and thank you for the questions. Couldn't get to all of them. Our goal is to always try to hit all of them, but we failed once again. But we appreciate all you guys' participation. If we miss any question you really want answered, direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning at 8:15. Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. And also tomorrow you'll have the Tuesday night live stream with Amanda Atwell, CJ Vogel, and Jeff Howe. It's always a great time with those guys. It's always good stuff. Thanks to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. Appreciate all the super chats. You guys are very kind. Thank you to Coach as well. Thanks to CJ. Appreciate you, CJ. And thanks to Matthew. And thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to Von Lane, vonlane.com. Use that code OTF25 for $20 off Von Lane, your first ride. And also thank you to our friends over at South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com, and Hardgrove Roofing, hardgroveroofing.com. And thanks to Stevie Lee, my former teammate and lifetime Longhorn. For Stevie Lee, for CJ, for Coach Shipley, and for Matthew, I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Go Rangers.
Go